So, with Donald Trump and Elon Musk set to take power and office this month, we are now seeing things we haven't seen since World War II. Check out these headlines here. Austria's far right gets chance to lead a government for the first time since World War II. They call themselves the Freedom Party. And if you're in Austria, please share your thoughts on this. I'd like to hear. For Frank, it doesn't sound good. This particular party in Austria, their roots are related to that German party from World War II. I'm sure you guys know what we're talking about here. And again, this stuff is just not good. Unfortunately, these are multiple countries involved. A lot of these types of far right parties are very pro-Russian. Whether or not, say in Austria, they're getting money from Putin, etc. Please let me know in Austria. I'll just say it's a trend that we're seeing. It's also being spread, the sort of trend and culture by Elon Musk, right? He's got that social media platform. He's going and making relationships with different countries or making fights with different countries. Here, he just made a deal in Italy. So if you're Italian, your tax dollars are now going to Mr. Musk, and I think it's like 1.5 billion euro. Here in Korea, as I mentioned guys before on the channel, we have a big problem with our president, President Yoon. Frankly, he's a lunatic. He tried to do a military coup, declared an illegal martial law. There's actually a warrant for his arrest. So we're trying to basically lock the guy up and get him out completely. He was impeached, but he does have supporters supporting him. They're basically Trumpy kind of people. They're even using English signs, being inspired by Trump, saying "Stop this steal." And to be perfectly frank, I just keep saying this. It's really, really serious. Unfortunately, there's just people out there that are deluded and getting sort of these cult type things, and it is what it is. This is all happening when Donald Trump just got certified 4 years after the January 6th stuff, right? Kamala Harris, she says here, today's America's democracy stood. And it's similar to the Korean situation. Like, we learn from the past, learn from history, and keep it nonviolent. So, I mean, there's not much else she can say, right? So, Trump won the election, but I'm just keeping you guys informed what's going on and how crazy Trump is. The same way, like I said, here in Korea, we have a crazy president also. Trump is now talking about turning Canada into the 51st state. Again, he keeps mentioning this. He says, many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficit subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. This was actually retweeted by Elon Musk. This Visgrad24, I asked you guys what this account was because I can't keep track of all of these, right-wing propaganda troll accounts. You guys said this was like I think Polish account or something like that, pro-Russian, that kind of stuff. Musk actually retweeted the same Trump thing twice regarding making Canada the 51st state. He's also, this is Musk, and this is the kind of stuff that they're talking about. Musk is saying America should liberate the people of Britain from their tyrannical government. This is just 11 hours ago, so that's what's going on. Like I said, we haven't seen this kind of stuff since World War II, and that's why I want you to not just focus on the country that you're in. Just understand this is a global problem right now. Guys, I lived through the from 99 to the 2000 bubble when all these, right-wing people were worried about the New World Order, and there's this, consolidation of power, etc. That was all conspiracy theory kind of stuff back then. Here, it's all in public. I'm just showing you like what's going on with leadership. I'm showing you what people are saying. It's kind of crazy. The stuff that they were worried about in 2000 is happening today. And you're seeing just massive shifts to the far right, and not a good way. And I think, honestly, it is driven by this crazy crap on social media where people can just spread whatever misinformation that they want. Trudeau is now resigning, so there's worries that Musk will have too much influence in Canada now and be funding the far right over there. I'm not here to defend Trudeau. Trust me, I won't. I'll just say this. I'd like to hear from Canadians on this thing. I've heard many people in the community chime in that they're not thrilled with Trudeau. However, they don't necessarily want to go to the far right. So from Trudeau's point of view, he's like, hey, I'm stepping down, and we'll try to find someone else. Their party, though, is my understanding is polling very, very low. So I think they're probably going to swing right, but we'll see. I mean, you guys will have an election or whatever, and we'll see what they go. You can see another headline here: Justin Trudeau to resign, the latest global leader to fall. Again, this is a trend. And it's not just the happening in politics. It's also related to social media, as I mentioned with the Musk stuff. You have this Kevin O'Leary guy, so he's trying to step in as the representative to Canada in negotiating with Donald Trump on making Canada, I guess, the 51st state. I'd like to hear a Canadian's thoughts on that. Some of the reasons why they're saying it, why Canada should join USA, is you can have a common currency, open trade, and some sort of EU type passport. That's coming from Kevin O'Leary, and it's getting so nuts that even Elon Musk's Tesla stock promoter accounts are now talking about similar kind of things. This is Farzad, one of them. Again, he's a Tesla stock promoter, but he's switched over to just, pro nonsense. Canada, 51st state of the United States, right? And he wants people to vote on that. If you're curious what Elon Musk is saying these days, he sort of shows who he is, which I show you guys, because I want you to understand. I get it, guys. All these people out there, I idolize Elon Musk as being a god and being some sort of genius, but this is how he talks. On January 6th, Joni says, Elon Musk is rapidly becoming the largest spreader of disinformation in human history, hijacking political debates. In the process, the EU must take action. And Elon Musk responds, F you, tart, right? You can see it right there. That's Elon Musk. It is a worry, guys. I show you from time to time that how he spreads the misinformation, be it, shows out stuff that's just completely fake, or be it, deep fake AI stuff where you can, manipulate someone's voice, manipulate someone's, video. Or in the last time I showed you with the Korean situation, he retweeted this, propaganda Poland account or whatever. And then they were using like a video, which I couldn't even tell where it was from. I couldn't tell when it was made, etc. I couldn't even tell if it was real, and pretending like, given the misleading thing that it was happening today. Even in France, Macron is calling Musk that he is directly intervening in elections, right? So election interference. So he's calling him out. Macron's even met Musk, right? You can see it right there. This is the world that we live in, right? It's deeply frustrating, and my opinion on this stuff is we need to pay attention to these things, because you don't want these people who spreading their lies or whatever. And I'm talking about the Musk and the Trump. So people are calling it out, and kind of what's going on. And I'll try to make it as clear as possible. We have a lot of speculation in markets, right? So we're in a massive bubble, and we've seen this before in history. We're also coming out of a pandemic where people, basically, well, I'll just put it this way, have a lot of, how can I say, we could say mental challenges, just the stress of it all. I just try to, say it nicely. We also have financial challenges, right? Which is part of the global economy. Like, it's just, there's a lot of stress on a lot of people right now. I totally understand that. Even the Fed was saying, our markets are crazy overvalued. It's literally the headline. Fed official delivers blunt warning on a stock market, which ignores it. And the warning is like, yeah, we're crazy in a bubble. It's easy for everyone to see, but I want to mention the financial stuff because it's something that we haven't really dealt with entirely past the great financial crisis. Essentially, to put it in really simple terms, you had Wall Street out gambling, basically, over leveraging and gambling, right? Loaning out lots of money, deregulating, these kind of things. And it was a massive bubble, which ultimately crashed. And we're kind of heading, there again, where you have, massive speculation, be it your AIs and your cryptos, which is essentially digital Ponzi schemes, etc. You have stocks that are disconnected from reality. That's what we talk about Tesla on this channel. And then you have, say, someone like Elon Musk, who, uses his whole Ponzi pyramid scheme to buy influence around the world. And they're essentially trying to keep this Ponzi thing going. You also have the divide, which is going to increase between rich and poor. And you have a lot of people who are disillusioned, be it from what happened in the pandemic, right, where the divide got even bigger and just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And then you'll get these far right leaders that say, oh, all your problems are due to that, other group of minority people, right? That's sort of what this game is all about. Like I said, we've seen this kind of stuff in World War II, unfortunately. This is just what we're facing. And I try to give you guys a global perspective because I want you to understand that it's not just because of a minority group of people, which the far right leader will try to tell you. It's we're facing a combination of things, be it an imbalance from retirees to workers, right? So that puts a strain on governments all around the world, where pensions cost a lot of money because people live longer these days. It's just how it is. And if you don't have the worker ratio to retiree ratio, right, you get this imbalance. You also have global economic slowdown because economies go in cycles. And a lot of the way the modern economic system works, it's debt based on debt based on debt, and then you use your leveraged assets to borrow yet more money. And when the growth finally sort of peters out, this is sort of what you get. And I'll put in other really simple terms. In China, they had a lot of speculation on real estate. The basic idea was that, okay, if real estate always goes up, right, it would make sense to buy real estate. And if you buy real estate and it goes up and you're like, oh, wow, I made money on that. What if I borrow money to buy real estate that always goes up, right? You guys see what we're getting at? The problem is there comes a point to where there's no one to sell it to, right? You're out of buyers, and that's essentially what happened in China, because like people weren't having so many kids. Like, where are the people going to come from to buy said houses, right? Essentially, the same way that these digital Ponzi's or whatever eventually ultimately die out because there's just no more new money. And that's sort of why we're seeing the kind of these last throws I just saw in the last video, where the Trump people are now figuring out a way to like, oh, how can we tap into people's retirement so we can buy more crypto and illiquid real estate or whatever nonsense. It is, like I said, it's really a shame what's happening, but I'm just trying to keep you guys informed. But I know we have smart people in our community and people who want to talk about this stuff honestly. So I honestly appreciate that, because in this crazy world, you need this to stay sane. This is someone from our community. Zip says, if everything is going so well with the economy, then riddle me this, Batman. One, why can't car dealers sell any cars, right? Two, why can't anyone afford a home, and why are there no cheap, reliable homes available? Three, why is McDonald's lowering prices and creating special value meals to get folks in the door? Also, I could go on and on about real estate on the commercial side, and folks are gambling on digital coin, right, the crypto stuff, that reminds me suspiciously of the tulip craze of the 1600s. And four, why are the masses so enamored with Bitcoin when gold is prettier, heavier, real, and has been around forever? And I appreciate your comments, Zip, because I think you see the stuff that I see. I think a lot of us see it, but it's, for people who are new to the markets or old markets or whatever, it's so much every day of like all this craziness that it's like you feel like you're insane when you see someone on TV, because this is how the game is played, like, and say, Wall Street or whatever eyes, or they'll say, oh, everything's great, this AI and this crypto, you're all gonna make a fortune. It's like, and like when I sit there and just give you guys just basic logic and stuff like that, like, okay, so if AI comes in and replace everyone's jobs, like, how are people going to have any money to buy any said products, right? That's a basic thing. Or, in this situation, which I think is a good one, which we talk about on the channel. I don't know, that was like a last couple of months where McDonald's is, lowering prices, et cetera. Right. It's an easy indicator to see that things are going, not so great. Here in Korea, I just like to give you guys a global perspective. Like I said, it's not just, one country. When you understand that it's multiple countries, you understand, oh, it's not just the, dark people that Donald Trump says it is. It's actually, this is a global wide economic slowdown. Here in Korea, right, we're having political problems here, so our economy and our markets are having trouble. And again, you have to understand that we're grossly overvalued right now. So let me show you this. You can track this. This is a Schiller PE. So basically, how much do we pay for earnings of stocks, right? The price of stocks in ratio to how much companies make. It's really, really high right now. 37.74 is the last read as of Friday, January 3rd. The highest has ever been in history is 44. We are higher than we were. Actually, yeah, we are higher than we were in the great market crash of 1929, which led to the Great Recession. But that's a different era. We're not quite as high as the dot-com bubble, which again I think it was like 44, but we're getting there. So this just shows you that we're trading in hot. It is so hot, in fact, that companies are leaving the London Stock Exchange, basically trying to list on the American Stock Exchange, actually, I think it's New York Stock Exchange to be technically correct, but to basically trying to get the money while it's there, right? They're saying, oh, wow, look at all these crazy valuations, look at all this money flying around. Let's go get some of that money, right? That's what they're talking about here. On top of that, you have Trump threatening tariffs. Now, this is an interesting story because the Washington Post has come out with this. It's from insiders, the Trump, it's not campaign, we'll say team, I guess we'll say it that, or administration. Basically, they're trying to figure out, okay, we want to do all these tariffs, and they may only do it on certain categories of goods, not necessarily all goods. Trump calls this stuff a lie, but I'll just say this: I tend to trust the Washington Post over what Trump says, and also tend to trust the markets. So the markets are thinking, okay, maybe the tariffs are going to be changed a bit from what he's saying. It's hard, honestly, it's hard to say. I think it's all in negotiations. So the dollar's been going down a bit. This is just my guess on it. I think probably people like a Musk or whatever who are giving donations to Trump, they're going to try to get either exceptions from the tariffs, which would be one, or they're trying to get Trump to use tariff money to subsidize their companies. So, for example, this is my opinion. So, this is just my opinion. So, for example, let's say, Trump says, okay, we're going to put a tariffs on beans, just for example, because, they want to do beans. And it would, if you go out buy beans, it's going to cost the consumer more money. And then they would take that money, for example, that tax money, and then give it to one out of the 10 bean, producer people, and it would benefit one of those companies. So another way to put it more simply, let's say, for example, there's a car, tariff on stuff coming from China, then, you would tariff, tax, basically. And then you would take all that money and give it to Musk, and he would build his factories, et cetera, and subsidize him. So I think that's the stuff that's going on, sort of why that there's negotiations on what's going to be tariffed and what's not. Because before they're talking about across the board tariffs, now they're starting talking about, we might have, different, how can I say, different sectors that we'll focus on, which are national importance, and maybe different rates or whatever. It's so unclear what they're doing. And also, to be frank, the Trump people are so unqualified that you have to deal with that as well. I also want to show you this. Biden made a statement today about remembering January 6th when the Trump people attacked Congress. And this is what Biden said. He said, but on this day, we cannot forget. This is what we owe those who founded this nation, those who have fought for it and died for it. And we should commit to remembering January 6th, 2021 every year. To remember it as a day when our democracy was put to the test and prevailed. To remember that democracy, even in America, is never guaranteed. We should never forget it is our democracy that makes everything possible, our freedoms, our rights, our liberties, our dreams, and that it falls to every generation of Americans to defend and protect it. So just, always pay attention to this stuff. That's what's happening because it's important. And just remember the Donald Trump guy, he's no good. The guy's a felon. And he just spreads lies all the time, and he inspires people to go attack the Congress. And it's just insane when you think about it. I don't talk about January 6th all day, every day, but just remind you, it really is insane. This kind of stuff, and I just want to point out some movies if you're interested. It's happened similar sort of situations in Korea. 1987 is a fantastic movie. I keep mentioning it. See it if you haven't. It's just the importance of regular people to pay attention to democracy, the importance of the free press, or 12/12 Today, which is when essentially it's all about a military coup. You can check that out. Or if you want to see a movie from the American side, this is about the early years of Donald Trump. In all of these kind of movies, be it the Korean ones or this Trump one I'm telling you about, you'll kind of get a sense of like how these mafia / gangster kind of people behave, and the dangers of someone like a Trump and his cronies. And so there's that. So I do appreciate your time, everyone. And I wish I had better news to share, but this is what it is. We're seeing things that we haven't seen since World War II. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you in the next video.